Welcome. My name is Danielle Snyder, and I am here on behalf of HPHC and the Tufts Health Plan. My name is Danielle Snyder. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a health coach. And today we are going to talk about something that I am sure you have all heard about, but the importance of getting a good night's sleep and how exercise can actually help support that. An underused skill is exercise for getting a better night's sleep. So there's a lot of discussion and emphasis on sleep, but there's not a ton of discussion about how exercise actually supports that. So we're gonna talk about that for the next half an hour. But to get started, each time I start one of these seminars, I like to teach a different skill on how to calm your nervous system. Because one of the things that happens in all of our lives is we are so busy that our nervous systems are going up and down and up and down, and they're not very regulated. And so one of the skills I'm going to actually teach you that can help regulate you for sleep and for really anything in your life is called tapping. So it may feel a little silly at first, but tapping is actually, it helps you maintain mental focus, and it's very simple. It sends signals directly to the stress centers of the midbrain to help you regulate and ground yourself. And its ability to access the amygdala is one of the most calming concepts or techniques that you can use. And I like to start these sessions by teaching one of those techniques before we get into learning, because I'm sure you all are coming from really busy mornings and you're thinking of 1,000 different things. So to begin, I'm first going to ask you to start by making your space safe and quiet. So what I mean by that is shut out of your email, turn off your phones, or really, let's be honest, turn them over, shut the door, do whatever you need to do to protect the space that you're in to make it a calming space. And if no one's watching, that's even better, because this feels really goofy doing, but it does really help to calm and regulate your central nervous system. So we're going to go through 2 quick rounds. And I want you to start by taking a deep breath in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth, and use 2 fingers and tap the left and the right side of your head. And you can kind of go back and forth, up and down. The goal is to find a rhythm that is not really quick, but one that kind of helps you focus. And then I want you to move to right underneath your eye. And then above your mouth and below your mouth. At your collarbones, tapping each side. And then right at your rib cage, like underneath your armpits. Feel a little bit like a gorilla. That means you're doing it right. A deep breath in through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and we're going to repeat for 1 more time. So go into the top of your head. Underneath your eyes. Above your mouth and below your mouth. Collarbones. And below your armpit. Okay. Now I want you to rejoin the room, and hopefully you'll feel a little bit more centered and grounded. And before we start talking about sleep and exercise, that is just one of the ways that you can help regulate your brain and your body to help your body and mind get ready for sleep. So there is so much research out there that tells us how important sleep is. And actually, according to Sleep Health in 2022, 50 to 7 million Americans have chronic sleep disorders, which is an insane amount because sleep is connected to feeling physically sluggish and connected to a whole host of other physical and emotional challenges. One of the most underused skill to improve sleep is to develop a better relationship with exercise. So the kind of to start, I like people to just look and examine their own patterns with sleep and how much they're actually getting. And I just wanted to jump into a question. Someone in the chat wrote, do you do that while lying in bed at a time you want to go to sleep? Yes. So the tapping exercise is a really good exercise to practice before you actually try to fall asleep. It is very calming. So here are the numbers. Knowledge can be power. 3 to 5 years are supposed to get 10 to 13 hours per 24 hours. That's including naps. 6 to 12-year-olds are supposed to get 9 to 12 hours. 13 to 18-year-olds is 8 to 10 hours. And adults are 7 or more hours a night. I think the key thing of that is that it is very individualistic. So I am an ultra runner and I need like 10 hours of sleep to feel my best and to recover. There are other people I know who need 8 hours of sleep, and that's like their jam. But the thing about it is you have to kind of play with it and experiment to know what is best for you. And for the general population, 7 to 8 hours is the ultimate number. So I think that a lot of times, especially in our society, the first thing to go is sleep and exercise. And that is the most essential thing to feeling our best. So research has shown in that health article that I was talking to you about sleep health, that physical activity can actually be as effective as sleep prescription meds. Which is interesting because a lot of times the first thing when you go to a doctor and you talk to them and you're like, I'm having trouble sleeping, they're like, well, have you tried medication? Can be a common response because sleep is so important. Doctors and health experts really want to help us sleep, but medication doesn't always give us the best night's sleep. It can give us disjointed and we wake up and oftentimes we need higher amounts of that medication to help us sleep. So the more active you are, the more your body is going to signal you that you need sleep. So activity actually increases your sleep drive. Exercise also helps alleviate symptoms of anxiety. So it keeps our body and our brain calm. And I am not encouraging exercise as a way to only manage anxiety. It is a supplement to also learning other coping skills. And you need to be able to manage it with your breath and talking about it and taking care of yourself. However, a supplementary thing to that is sleep. An important key thing with the workouts is that you don't have to push yourself to exhaustion. You can do things that are small walks throughout the day, stretches, parking further away from your car, doing light yoga. That can actually help increase your sleep drive. When the COVID took over and we stopped going to work, one of the things that was noted is that people stopped moving as much, just generally, because you're not leaving your house as much. So you're doing less things outside. And that also happens seasonally during winter. We just naturally do less movement. So the intentional, it is very important to be intentional about your movement and adding it in enough a day. I want to pause for a second. And we have a comment in the chat, is that pills help this individual fall asleep. And they're asking, how much exercise should I do? Will it take a few weeks? So exercise is not the end all be all. And I'm not saying that pills are bad or negative. I'm just saying that they're a secondary option. They shouldn't be the first go-to, actually, or the second. So there are some things that can be a first and second thing, like exercise. The general recommended amount is 6 times a week for 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. Practicing meditation, good sleep hygiene, making sure that your caffeine amount is reduced. And then if those things aren't working, then it is a good opportunity to talk to your doctor about medication. It just shouldn't be a first intervention. The other thing that exercise does, and one of the things that when you are doing exercise, I actually want to encourage you to do, is to get outside for it. This is another thing that has happened during COVID, is we're just not getting outside as much. And now that we're not maybe in the thick of COVID anymore, people may be getting outside more. But if you're doing your exercise in your house and you're not getting fresh air and sunlight, you're not helping regulate your body's internal clock. So this is a little difficult for people in different places where it's dark a lot of the times, but the exercising outdoors in the morning actually helps reinforce natural circadian rhythms. For people who are a little bit older, your circadian rhythms actually become weaker. And so daily exposure outside helps your body clock to get natural light and establish a good sleep-wake cycle. It tells your body when to be alert and when to wind down. There are also these vitamin D lights that you can get and you can turn on in the morning when you're exercising, or you can sit by, which are really helpful as well. But ideally, if you are exercising and creating a routine, it's going to help your body be more aligned with its circadian rhythm. So when people ask, why is this important? I like to think of kids and how we are so, I'm trying to think of a lot of society is very, we emphasize structure and patterns and routine with kids. And the reason why is their bodies and brains need those patterns to help them know, okay, it's time to wake up. It's time to go to bed. It's time to eat. And as adults, we often stop following those same patterns, and we sleep when we can, we wake up when we can. And the more of a routine we can establish in our daily lives, the better it is going to be for our body. So I know you guys have probably heard this before, but like sleeping in actually negatively impacts our sleep routine. And so on the weekends, even though there's a huge desire to catch up on sleep, it would better serve you to wake up and move your body than it would to sleep in and throw off your routine. Any questions so far? I know I'm throwing a lot at you. Okay. So a question I do get a lot is, when is the best time to exercise for sleep? And similarly to knowing how many hours of sleep you need a night, it really is a individual decision. Studies have found that doing aerobic exercise, so something like walking or running or being on the elliptical, helps to improve your sleep if you do it in the morning. there are some studies that say doing calming exercises at night closer to bed help reduce the time you spend awake at night. So meditation and yoga is sorry, I paused because there was a question and I was trying to figure it out, but let me finish my thought and then we'll go to the question. Meditation and yoga is a good thing to do later in the evening to kind of calm your body. So we have a question in the chat and it says, why do they say an afternoon nap is good for you? So I have never actually heard that an afternoon nap is good for you. I know that naps under 20 minutes potentially in the afternoon could be helpful, but most of the research that I've been aware of is that no nap should be taken after 1 or 2, because then it messes up your being able to fall asleep. So I'm not sure where you heard that information, and I could totally be wrong on it. And so if you have a source, I would appreciate it, and feel free to send it to me. So, but on the other hand, if you have a really, really busy day and the only time you can fit in exercise is at night, it's you can supplement doing something like aerobic with something calming like yoga or light stretching or something like that, that kind of like deactivates the nervous system. Because aerobic exercises increase your heart rate, increase your pulse, and kind of make you feel more awake naturally. And so we just want to make sure we're counteracting it and not doing aerobic right before we go to bed and then hoping to fall asleep. So as I was saying before, what the recommendation is that there's 30 minutes of moderate exercise 6 days a week. It could be as simple as taking your dog for a walk or even sun salutations. You don't need to overdo it. Sleep benefits can help you by just starting at 30 minutes. Now, the thing about this is that it can be very difficult to add in 30 minutes in our very busy days. So you may be thinking, Danielle, how do you choose to, or how do you do this? And what I like to do is remind people that small changes can help us make big changes. So this doesn't have to happen overnight. The way you could start is by taking a 10-minute walk in the morning before work. And the goal is to start to teach your body that it can do this and that you are capable and create a pattern. One of the ways that you can help yourself be accountable is by finding a partner. So asking a friend or a family member or your dog, I don't know if you can hear my dog in the background, if they can join you on this 10-minute walk and see how you feel. And if it feels good for you, then try again the next morning. So the goal is to really take these smaller steps, finding an accountability partner who can support you in this. And also, if maybe there isn't a person, you can think about an animal, or you can do do an alarm on your phone that helps. The next thing is experiment with what works best for you. As I was saying before, like ideally, yes, working out in the morning is the best per research, but if it doesn't work for you and you have young children or you have to be at work at 7 a.m. or whatever it may be, then, make it work in your schedule. Recommendations are just that, they're recommendations. Consistency is more important. So finding something that works for you is going to be the thing that actually helps you create a routine that allows you to continue it. So finding what works for you. The next thing is, there's a bi-directional relationship between sleep and exercise. You are more inclined to get up and go to the gym if you are sleeping well. So you may be thinking, someone actually asked in the chat, what about sleep techniques to help your mind unwind? Not when you just try to sleep, but also when you wake up in the middle of the night. And that's a great question, because if there's a bi-directional relationship and getting good sleep helps exercise and exercise helps sleep, we have to think about, what do we do to help our bodies and brains sleep? And so there are a lot of sleep hygiene things that you can do to help when your brain is going all over the place at night. So one of the first things that I actually really like to do is make sure that my body and brain is prepped for sleep. And so one of the things is making sure that your bed in your room is dark, cooler. There's not a lot of distractions. So that means no TV, that means no phone in the room, that means no clock blinking, and making sure that you are doing the best you can do to make sure that your room is safe for sleep. Then next thing that you can do is, if you wake up and you find that you're having difficulty shutting your mind off, write down what is coming up for your mind. Getting it out of your brain and onto a piece of paper helps you actually minimize the noise in your brain. Give yourself like 10 minutes of writing it down, trying to fall back to sleep. And if you can't fall back to sleep, get out of bed. And I know this feels counteractive, but staying in bed and like ruminating on trying to fall asleep causes more anxiety. Get out of bed, do something calming, drink a cup of warm tea, read something quiet, pet your dog, pet your animal, whatever. And then if you move, or excuse me, and then when in like 10, 15 minutes, try to go back to bed. Listen to a sleep meditation when you're trying to fall back to sleep. And if you can't fall back to sleep, repeat the process. But staying in bed does not help you stay calm and regulated. The next thing is making sure that you're not getting caffeine after noon, because that is going to stay in your body and it's going to keep you awake at night. So I just want to address some of the other questions in the chat where someone gave me a website to napping. Yeah, so the recommendation in the Mayo Clinic was keep naps after 3 p.m. before 3 p.m. and no more than 10 to 20 minutes. The information out there that I have always read is that before noon is the best time to take a nap. This site is saying that napping after 3 p.m. can interfere with sleep time, but early afternoon is okay. So, I mean, early afternoon, noon, it's kind of similar. And I understand that for some people that could be helpful, but most importantly is making sure you're not napping longer than 20 minutes, because that is going to impact your sleep at night. Thank you for sending me the Mayo Clinic. I'm trying to keep track of all these messages. I'm not sure who did, but I appreciate it. So if you want to sleep at 2 and that works for you, awesome. I have always heard that that's a little bit too late, but again, individual. And then I also have another comment that one of our participants were concerned for each other's health, and they wanted their sister to go to the dentist, and she wanted the individual who wrote to exercise. So they made a plan, and they agreed if she walks at least 30 minutes a day for 3 times a week for 8 weeks, she would go to the dentist. So even though they couldn't walk together, they created a plan where she felt motivated to walk for her sister. And I think that's awesome. Having a motivational partner or having someone who keeps you accountable is huge. So the other thing which people recommend and can find helpful is having a fitness tracker. I'm kind of neutral on this one, but a lot of people have found that it helps with, it actually comes with sleep data as well. And so you can find insights into your sleep cycle and optimize your workouts and health. So the Aura Ring can be, like, I have a couple of clients that I work with who love the Aura Ring because it tells them about their sleep and their exercise and how it's connected, and it's very motivational. So if you have external motivation and like to see data, that can be a really good way to track it. So I'm going to sum up in the 3 minutes we have and answer any more questions. Is exercise clearly helps sleep. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing principle. Whatever you can do is going to support a better sleep routine. A sleep routine is one that works specifically for you. So that may be napping at 2 p.m. I think that as long as your naps are under 20 minutes, that's going to help. And making sure that you're prioritizing getting outside, prioritizing moving your body, trying your best to do something calming before bed, and helping yourself feel relaxed in your bedroom is going to be the best thing that you can do to optimize your sleep. Are there any other questions? I want to make sure I get questions. We have a few minutes. No? Okay, well, I threw a lot at you guys. I think the main message is that sleep is important, and we want to often skimp on sleep and skimp on exercise because we're busy, and that will impact our health and not make us feel good or enjoy the things that we love to do. So try to find a way to prioritize that in your life. Thank you so much.